Thank you for watching Murder, Monsters, and Mysteries. Today we take a look at the Calvin Parker Jr. and Charles Hickson abduction, also known as the Pascagoula UFO incident. The abduction of two men by alleged alien entities almost 50 years ago remains one of the world's most chilling abduction cases. The incident itself took place on October 11, 1973, in the Mississippi town of Pascagoula. Calvin Parker Jr. and Charles Hickson had been out fishing when they reported witnessing a strange oval-shaped object with blue lights descending from the sky. The craft was said to have made a peculiar whizzing sound and eventually came to rest a couple feet above the ground nearby. Three strangers emerged from the object that were vaguely humanoid in shape and stood approximately 5 feet in height. They had no discernible eye sockets and only a small slit for a mouth. In the place of hands, they had lobster-like claws and seemed to move in an inhuman, robotic-like manner. These things got to us. They got a hold of Charlie. The other got a hold of me and then turned around, and they was carrying us back up inside of what I know now is a UFO, a spaceship or whatever it was, and we was going toward that big bright light, Parker later recalled. Once on board the craft, the two men were subjected to a detailed physical examination. The incident seemed to end as abruptly as it had begun, as Parker and Hickson found themselves back on a beach with no sign of the UFO and no indication that anything had happened. Hickson maintained until his death in 2011 that events happened the way he described them. Well, to this day, Parker also remains adamant that the story is true. Now 69, Parker has spoken of visions of what he experienced at the time, depicting a number of disturbing world events, including the plague and World War III. Makes you wonder if the plague could have been a pandemic. As some of you will know, I had a near-death experience while on board this craft, he said. This was when my blood was drained out of me and then replaced with what I still don't know. Then things were shown to me. Things from the past, present, and future. Maybe I was handed a curse, or it could be a way to help save our planet or mankind. But it scares the hell out of me. Not for me, but for the future of us all. The following is an excerpt from an interview of these two abductees. I can tell you here and now, and God is my witness, and I believe in God, that when I die I'll tell everybody what I saw, and it'll still be the same story. Charlie Hickson. By Sunday night, the news people had left Pascagoula. Dr. Hynek was on his way back to Chicago. Dr. Harder to Berkeley. By then, the entire country knew what had happened to Charlie Hickson and Calvin Parker. It was a strange moment to be in Pascagoula, arriving on the scene right after the disaster. People compared it at the time with Hurricane Camille, and when it struck the coast. Tough-minded sheriffs needed to talk about what had happened. Maybe a week later, when things had returned to normal, I wouldn't have been invited to the sheriff's office to hear and record the taped interview made barely 3 hours after Calvin and Charlie saw the flashing blue light. It was the first time in any major UFO encounter that the witness's testimony was recorded so swiftly and on tape. I tried to imagine Charlie and Calvin's feelings as they told their story. I had seen their condition. Two men on the borderline to collapse who had been through an experience for which nothing on earth could have prepared them. The interview was conducted by Sheriff Fred Diamond and Captain Glenn Ryder at approximately 11 o'clock Thursday evening. It began with Charlie's voice saying, "Even though I'll be the laughing stock of the country, I'll tell you what I seen, and the experiences I've had." "What did you say your name was?" "Charlie Hickson. Even though they're going to laugh me out of Jackson County, I'll do what I know is right. That's all I can do. And I don't expect anybody to believe it. It's just unbelievable." There was weight in Charlie's voice, as though he was having to push the words up, heave them out. "We just have to know what happened. What happened to y'all from the very beginning? Well, this will be the third time. We just want to make sure to hear your story. That's what convinced us. Okay. Calvin and me, this boy who works with me, we went down below the grain elevator along the river. We caught a few hate heads down there. A couple of croakers, not much. So I said to Calvin, "Son, let's go up by the old Shoppeter shipyard. I've caught redfish in there, the speckled trout." "Is he your son?" No, he's just a friend. He's from Jones County. That's where I'm reared from. I've got a farm and a home up there. Well, so we went over there to try a little while. We sat there fishing. I don't know how. I guess we must have seen the same thing at the same time. It's blue light. It circled a bit. How high was it? Yeah, you couldn't tell. It wasn't too close. But it wasn't no 2-3 miles away either. It was pretty close. And a blue light. You're surprised when you look in the sky and see a blue light. It really calls your attention to it. Then in just a little while, it come right down above the bayou. You know, about 2-3 feet above the ground. How close was it? 25-30 yards? But it might have been 35-40 yards. You see, something like that, it'd scare you to death. And I couldn't believe it. I started to head for the river. Was there a noise to it? Yeah, a little buzzing sound. Just like that, that's all.
From the evil one, deliver me.
From the evil one, deliver me.
At the hour of my death,
At the hour of my death,
call me and bid me to come to thee.
call me and bid me to come to thee.
Give me the compass. If you don't, we'll take her eyes. We'll take your family's eyes. We'll make this whole town blind.
From the evil one, deliver me.
From the evil one, deliver me.
At the hour of my death,
At the hour of my death,
Probably should have come here first.
come to thee.
call me and bid me.
Wasn't any backblast or anything? You think you're dreaming about something like that, you know? And I started to hit the river, man. And Calvin, he just went hysterical. What's Calvin's last name? It's Parker. Calvin Parker Jr. He's got his father's name. Charlie paused for a moment, then went on. So he was right on the river. It didn't hit the ground. It hovered. And all of a sudden, right in the end of it, this opening was laid up there. And 3 of them just floated out of the thing. They wasn't on no ground. They didn't have feet? No, they didn't have toes. But they had feet shape. It was more or less just a round-like thing on a leg, if you call it a leg. I was scared to death. And me with spinning reel out there, it's all I had. I was so scared, you can't imagine. Calvin done went hysterical on me. Then what happened? They walk up on you? They just glided up there to me. Then one of them made a little buzzing noise, and 2 of them never made a noise. What kind of noise? Just zzz, zzz. It sounded like a machine? Yeah, like that. Might have been contacting the others. See, I don't know. By then I was damn scared and I didn't know anything. And 2 of them just floated around behind me and lifted me up off the ground. By your arms? By my arms with their pincher things. Must have done something. I was raised off the ground. They didn't use force, though? No force. They didn't hurt me. I didn't feel nothing. How was your friend doing then? He just passed out on me. They glided me into that thing. You know? How you just guide somebody? All of us move like that when we're floating through the air. When I got there, they had me, you know? They just kind of had me there. There were no seats, no chain. They just moved me around. I couldn't resist them. I just floated and felt like no sensation, no pain. They kept me in that position a little while, and then they'd raise me back up. You said they had some kind of instrument on you, didn't you? Some kind of instrument, I don't know what it was. I didn't see anything that I could call an instrument that I've ever seen. What did it look like? Could you describe it? I just couldn't describe it. Was it like an x-ray machine? No, it wasn't like no x-ray machine. There ain't no way to describe it. It looked like an eye, like a big eye. It had some kind of attachment to it. It moved, but it looked like a big eye. And it went all over my body, up and down. And then they left me. They left you inside the machine? Left me right by myself. In the position they had me in, I couldn't move. Just my eyes could move. And I didn't know how long they left me. I don't even know if I stayed conscious, but I think I did. And then they came back. How long did they leave you? I don't know. I never wear no watch. How long would you say? Yeah, I'd say 20 to 30 minutes. Then, when they came back, they laid me back over again. You didn't try to talk to them? Ask what was going on? Yes, I did. But I get a buzzing sound out of one of them, that's all. They didn't pay me no attention. My talking or anything. How many eyes did they have? Now, there could have been eyes, but I didn't see any. But there was something that came straight out more or less where a nose would be on the human being's face. Did they have hair? I don't know. I just swear I don't know. That's blank in my mind. You looked at them, didn't you? Did they breathe? I swear I don't know. How tall were they? They were about 5 feet tall. Did they have clothes or anything? Not so as noticed. And you can't tell me what color they were. Man, you scared as much as I was. Were they white looking, pale, blue, green? Best I remember, they looked pale-like to me. Wrinkled skin? Might have been. Looked kind of like a skin fit. Like they might have had something on. They might not have, or they might not have. I don't know. You say below the nose there was an opening? Like a slit, and I never saw an opening move. And they had something on each side of the head that resembled ears, but didn't look like any ears that we know. And the head, I didn't see any neck. It looked like it just sat there on the body. Was this right after dark? It wasn't too long after dark. Why did you wait this long to call us? Well, Mr. Fred, when I got there, I knowed nobody wouldn't believe me. I went to the Mississippi Press, beat on the door. This colored guy was sitting at the desk. I said I wanted to see a reporter. He said there wasn't a reporter till morning. I thought about it again. If I call the sheriff's department, they won't believe me. If I call the police department, they won't believe me. Well, how'd you know unless you tried? Well, I apologize for that. That's my thinking. How much did you have to drink? I hadn't drank anything. But in the 45 minutes to an hour before I called y'all, I did drink. I had to settle my nerves. I just about went crazy. I gotta get back to my wife, you know? She's probably hysterical now. Your wife's all right. Do you remember leaving? Leaving where? The ship. When they put you out. The only thing I remember is that kid, Calvin, just standing there. I've never seen that sort of fear on a man's face I saw in Calvin's. It took me a while to get him back to his senses. And the first thing I told him was, son, ain't no one gonna believe this. Let's just keep this whole thing to ourselves. Well, the more I thought about it, the more I thought I had to let some officials know. What did they do after they let you go? Now, there was a buzzing sound, and then it was gone. Can you describe the vehicle? Yes, I can. About 8 feet tall. It wasn't round. It was oblong, sort of oblong. And the opening it had was at the end of it. The only lights I seen on the outside was that blue light inside. What lights did they have? I didn't see no bulbs or anything. It just glowed light. But it was real bright. Charlie next talked about how he tried to call the Keesler Air Force Base, and they told him to call the sheriff. There were a few more questions, and then the interview was over. Sheriff Diamond asked Charlie to come back in the morning and make a complete statement. Charlie said he didn't want any publicity, and he didn't want to get his family upset. Then Diamond and Captain Ryder went out and left the two men alone in the room with the tape recorder still running. Charlie's voice was shaky as he said to Calvin, "I can't take much more of that." And Calvin sounded frantic. "Calvin, I gotta get home. I gotta get to bed, get some nerve pills or see the doctor or something. I can't stand it. I'm about to go half crazy." "Charlie, I tell you, when we through, I'll go get you something to settle you down so you can get some damn sleep." "Calvin, I can't sleep like it is. I'm just damn near crazy." "Charlie, well, Calvin, when they brought you out, when they brought me out of that thing, god damn it, I like to never inhale how you get straightened out." His voice was rising. Calvin said, my arms. I remember they just froze up and I couldn't move. I just stepped on a damn rattlesnake." "They didn't do me that way," sighed Charlie. Now both men were talking as if to themselves. "Calvin, I passed out. I expect to never passed out my whole life." "Charlie, I never seen nothing like that before in my life. You can't make people believe." "Calvin, I don't want to keep sitting here. I want to see a doctor." "Charlie, they better wake up and start believing. They better start believing." "Calvin, you see how that damn door come right up?" "Charlie, I don't know how it opened, son. I don't know." "Calvin, it just laid up and was like that son of bitches just like they come out." "Charlie, I know. You can't believe it. They can't make people believe it." "Calvin, I paralyzed right then. I couldn't move." "Charlie, they won't believe it. They're gonna believe it one of these days. Might be too late. I knew all along that the people from other worlds up there. I knew all along. I never thought it would happen to me." "Calvin, you know yourself if I don't drink." "Charlie, I know that, son. And when I get to the house, I'm gonna pour me another drink. Make me sleep. Look, what we sitting around for? We gotta get to Blanche. What we waiting for?" "Calvin, I gotta get to the house. I'm getting sick. I gotta get out of here." Then Charlie got up and left the room. And Calvin was alone. And while he was alone, he kept talking. "It's hard to believe. Oh, God, it's awful. I know there's a God up there." He continued to pray, his words inaudible. The Pascagoula case is not unique. As Dr. Hynek has pointed out, people around the world have, for years, been experiencing close encounters with bizarre craft and, in many, many cases, contact with occupants. But this was the first time I had seen for myself the profoundly disturbing effect of a UFO encounter on two ordinary human beings. It was impossible to be with Charlie and Calvin or listen to that tape and not believe that something terrifying had happened to them. And yet what happened in Pascagoula seems to be part of a mystery that is at least as old as man himself. Source: Beyond Earth. A man's contact with UFOs. Thank you for watching Murder, Monsters, and Mysteries. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe, as we'll be uploading more regularly.